Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Jeffrey Gonzalez and you are now watching and listening to Paranormal Central, coming to you live from Fresno, California, what I call the scariest place on earth. To my right, to your left, as you're watching, is Alan Thomas. Hello Alan.
Good evening everyone.
Welcome everybody, and on live stream, and welcome all those on the Dark Matter Network.
Welcome on the Dark Matter Network.
We are happy to be here because we are basically living our life and having a blast doing it in the paranormal world. There's nothing more that I can say that this is a dream for us to be doing this, because we're coming up with stuff that you would not believe in a million years that actually exists in our world today, and that's the paranormal realm when it comes to UFOs, Bigfoot, Lost Nest monsters, everything. And tonight we are going to be talking about something that you only heard when you were a child. You remember Snow White and the Seven Dwarves? You remember those fairy tales that your parents used to tell you? Well, what if I told you that some of that is actually real? And we're going to be talking about that tonight. We have an author who wrote a book, and she's going to be calling in from Canada, and we're going to be talking about fairies and gnomes, nature spirits, basically is what they are. And I know what you guys are thinking, I know what you guys are saying. Until you actually listen to what we are about to tell you tonight, we're going to blow your mind. We are going to blow your mind. So sit back, relax, turn up the volume, whether you're on the road, if you're trucking along the freeway, I have a lot of listeners that are doing that tonight, just sit back, you're going to have a blast tonight. So, all right, let's get into this here. I'm going to bring up the lights in the studio because we are broadcasting live on live stream worldwide, just as we are on the Dark Matter Network. So if you want to watch us and see what our ugly mugs look like, you can go to live stream and type in Paranormal Central, or just go to paranormalcentral.net, and that will get you to the location where you need to be. So, all right. Emerald, are you over there?
Hello.
Assistant Director.
Hi, Emerald.
We're laughing at Emerald right now. Why? Yeah. Because she went to a party last night, and she had a little fun. Isn't that right, Emerald?
Sure.
You don't throw the phone. And Emerald got messed up last night.
It's not funny.
Yeah, why?
It's not.
Hey, we all do that once in a while, right? But
I'm pumping coffee into her, so she'll be all right.
No, I'm bouncing up the wall.
So, all right. You know what? Tonight we're going to be talking about this book that I have in front of me right now, and we're going to be talking to Jenni McKinnon, and she wrote this book called Befriending Faeries. Now, when I first started this whole paranormal thing, when you talk about paranormal, the first thing that come out of and you think about is UFOs or Bigfoot and ghosts. That's it. But people need to realize there's way more to it than just paranormal. We have people actually witnessing little creatures running around.
That goes back. These kind of stories are really, they're fairy tales.
Right.
And they go back a long, long time. I mean, the Indians have their folklore about it.
Right.
and so do the like the Irish
Right.
have them, and we were told not to say that word or else somebody was going to throw something at us, but they're still little people,
Right.
and they're even seen here in the valley.
Yes.
And we were talking to somebody yesterday, and that was the very first thing they told us.
Right. And it's, people, I would never have thought in a million years that while talking, doing the show, that I would be talking about fairies and gnomes, because that's something that's just you're supposed to see in movies and TV shows. But wait a minute, guys, and I'm going to tell you right now, there's way more to it than you guys actually know about, and I believe it's being hidden from us. And we're really going to get into it really deep, because there's actually, I believe, there's religion plays a big part of this as well. And, we're going to talk about that tonight too as well. And again, we're going to blow your mind here. I mean, that's the whole purpose of the show, is to open up your brain a little bit and to take a lot of this stuff in, because, people who don't believe in this, who are right now listening, are probably saying, you know what, this is a bunch of BS, and they're going to hang up, and they're not going to even bother, tuning in. But you guys need to stay tuned and listen and watch, because, I don't know what else to tell you, because we're going to blow you away tonight, all right? And we're going to have some fun doing it too. So, all right, so before we get a hold of our author, and we're going to talk about a little bit about UFOs and Bigfoot, we have now a reporter that is now with us. His name is Ken Pfeiffer, and he is on the East Coast, and I believe we have him on the line. Is that right, Ken?
Yeah. Hi, Jeff. How you doing?
Hi, Ken. How's it going, man?
Hi, Ken.
Not too bad.
All right. So, all right, Ken, we got Ken. Ken is, he is into UFOs big time, and I'm going to tell you why. He's the chief investigator for MUFON on the East Coast. You cover New Jersey, Vermont, and Rhode Island, right?
Yeah, that's correct, Jeff.
Okay. How long have you been with MUFON?
Just around 2005. I've been with them. I basically started working for George Fowler. I'm sure you know who George is.
Yes.
And I've been working for him, doing his investigations ever since.
Awesome. Okay, so what we have Ken doing now every week, every Sunday at our show, is he's going to be first up, and he's going to give us 5 good sightings that he has come across within, the United States and the world. And he has some pictures that we're going to put up, and we're going to show everybody. So let's go ahead and start you off. Now, we're going to shoot for, are we going to show people number 1 or number 5?
Number 1's fine.
Okay, number 1, cool. So let me go ahead and get out of here. And
you can pronounce my last name, Jeff. It's Pfeiffer.
Pfeiffer, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Pfeiffer. All right. Okay, so right now what we got on the screen for those who are watching us on live stream is a photograph that he got someplace, and he'll tell us a little bit about this photograph. And like I said, for all those who are listening and not watching on the Dark Matter Network, you can always go to the archives later and watch this show. If you want to take a look at the photographs, you can do so that way. So, all right, Ken, we got number 1 up. Go ahead and talk about this, buddy.
Okay, yeah, that's a pretty incredible photo that came over that's been on the internet. The date on that was November 19th, 2013, from Roellen, Tennessee. That's MUFON case file 52711. Now, the witness statement, I'm going to read it to you. It says here, my daughter was on the school bus around 7 a.m. and was looking out the window and thought it was a meteor, and she took the picture. She thought it was a meteor and thought she would take a picture of it because I am a meteor hunter. Apparently the father is the one who put in the statement for MUFON. And then it says it was stationary and then descended slowly down, then it descended and was gone. Now, Rhode Island, Tennessee, I guess that's about 75 miles northeast of Memphis, Tennessee, and I thought that was a pretty great picture.
Right, that's awesome. And it looked like it's a round orb object, but obviously it just appeared in front of them, right?
Yeah, apparently it's not lens flare or anything like that. Of course, we get a lot of that. We get a lot of people sending us photos, with lens flares. Normally, if you take a picture into the sun, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get something that's called lens flare. But this one here, it's very, very strange orb. I'm not really sure what it is.
Yeah, not even. So, awesome. Okay, let's go ahead and shoot for number 2. We have number 2 on the screen. Whoa. This one's, wow. Okay, I got number 2 up. Let's talk about this one. This one's blowing me away a little bit here.
Okay. Okay, this is one of my favorites. This is really an incredible shot. It's listed down here as now. This was apparently a California case file with MUFON, and they have it down as being around January 12th, 2008. Now they have it down as Clark County, Nevada, but I did some research and come to find out that if they were on I-15, I believe that's the Mojave Freeway coming out of Las Vegas towards L.A., they were in a pretty desolate area, and I think they were around Baker, California when he took this photo. I'll read a statement here. It says here, while driving along Expressway SI-15 from Las Vegas to L.A., I took a picture to the right. I took a picture to the right in the seat next to the driver. When I was taking a picture across the car window, I didn't notice any flashed object, and there was no flash in the digital camera. The location's about 100 miles away from Las Vegas. Now, apparently, he was taking pictures of the scenery, and he noticed this object in his photo. When he got home, and I guess reviewed them on his computer. But we get a lot of photos where people are taking pictures of scenery, and all of a sudden there's some strange things in their photos.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I think that today's digital cameras can see what our eyes can't see. And I think that's why we're getting a lot of these strange photos coming up.
Yeah, that's an awesome picture. I mean, there's no way that could be done. A lens flare. That's incredible stuff. And in the Mojave Desert, we have some underground bases in that direction. So I know where about. I used to live in L.A. and used to go to Vegas all the time, and I-15, and you got Fort Irwin that way, and there's a lot of stuff happening in that Nevada desert, man, and I could definitely see this going on over there. So that's cool. Very cool picture. So
yeah, I've had debunkers tell me that it's it's a reflection off the window, and that's about the most stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Ditto. All right, we're gonna go number 3. All right, we got number 3 on the screen, and for those who are watching, there's a little delay, so you're gonna get it here in a couple seconds. But go ahead and start talking about it. Number 3.
Let me see. Number 3 here. Okay, this is Dunfermline, Scotland. This was taken December 15th, 2013, around 5:45 p.m. in Dunfermline. I think that's how you pronounce it, Dunfermline, Scotland. That's a MUFON case file. And now, of course, Dunfermline, that's about 30 miles northeast of Glasgow, Scotland. If anyone likes Google Earth, I'm on there all the time. But let me read the statement here. It says here, "Hi, I was looking through my binoculars. We could see a saucer-shaped object hovering horizontally just left of Venus that was gray in color and illuminated and sat stationary in that position for at least 5 minutes as we all took turns with the binoculars. I took about a minute trying to take a photo using my iPhone through the binocular lens. When I returned to observe the object again through my binoculars, it was now on the right-hand side of Venus and was no longer stationary and now moving about the same speed as an aircraft appears to fly through the sky and then disappear or fizzle out. I was lucky to capture the image through a basic binocular lens with my iPhone." So that was a pretty impressive photo, I thought.
Yeah, that's a very cool photo.
Really awesome.
So right on. Okay, let's go with number 4. I'm going to go ahead and click over number 4. All right, we got number 4 on the screen.
Whoa.
Okay, let me bring this up. I believe this one's Nova Scotia.
Looks like a face.
Yeah, I'm bringing this up right now. Okay, now I have it down here. This is also a MUFON case file, and this was taken on November 28th, 2013 in Nova Scotia, Canada. And, of course, Nova Scotia is about 160 miles from east of Maine. So it's the Bay of Lundy is out there, I think. But this is a short statement. Basically, the witness said that this is a picture we took. The object has been in the sky for about 2 months. Every night it's clear, and we have seen... let me bring this up again.
Are you getting reports of an object southwest? Ken?
Southwest of where?
Of the world, basically just southwest of everything, because we're getting a bright light. They say it's Venus. Is this in the same direction where this was photographed by any chance?
No, I believe it wasn't. From what I understand, looking at the MUFON journal here, there's a few planets that have been dancing around the moon there, and a lot of people are thinking that it's something other than planets. But I think that's what basically you're seeing in the sky right now. But getting back to this one here, they said again the object had been in the sky for about 2 months. Every night it's clear. We have seen it take off and turn into what looks like a plane. So that kind of nullified the Venus in the sky
Right, yeah.
type of a thing. So this was the witness statement, and we normally try to believe what the witness tells us.
Exactly. So awesome.
I thought that was a very, very interesting photo also.
Wow. Okay. Well, I've got number 5 coming up on the screen, and this one's interesting. Very, very interesting.
Looks like a Star Trek thing.
Okay. Yeah. Let me bring that up here. I'm on my computer system right now. Oh, okay. This is the reason why I have a couple of oldies in there is because we had a pretty poor week for UFO photos.
Okay.
Of course, there were hundreds of UFO photos that came across here within the last 7 days, but most of them are so bad and you can't tell what they are. I would even be embarrassed of posting them.
No
So
problem. Awesome.
if I saw a couple oldies in the mix here, that's the reason why. Now, this is a case that I investigated September 24th of 2007 around 11:30 p.m. This guy was an amateur astronomer. He had a little observatory in his backyard, and the reason why he moved down to Alloway Township, New Jersey, was because there was no light pollution, as you know what that is. So this was MUFON case file 8111, and his statement is the night of September 24, 2007 was brightly lit due to a full moon. It was approximately 11:30 p.m., and I was outside with a digital camera nearby. I had nothing special on mine, but due to the bizarre experience I had last October 2006, in a parentheses it says this experience has been recorded on the MUFON website. As a matter of fact, 9 months earlier, I also investigated that sighting he had, and he had a humongous black triangle very slowly come over top of his observatory at a couple hundred feet, and it scared him to death. He was afraid to go out back and look at the stars for a few months. So he finally decided to go back out there, and 9 months later was this sighting. And like it says here, I always keep a camera on hand when I'm out at night. A bright light again caught my eye, and I observed this rectangular-shaped light begin to rise slowly behind a tree line in the south, approximately 1 mile away. This object appeared to hover for about 20 seconds and then began to travel west at a very low speed. As it began moving east, it seemed to pivot on both the vertical and horizontal axis, revealing more detail until it disappeared behind a tree line. I captured this object with my digital camera, and the pictures came out surprisingly well. He used a Canon 20D-A, which is for astrophotography, and I transferred these images to a disc. Yeah, this is one of 3 or 4 photos, and quite frankly, I think it's probably one of the best nighttime photos of an alien craft in existence.
That is an awesome photo. I mean, it's, you know, when you look at this, people are going to say, well, you know, the movement of the camera did this, and that's why you have the lines. But no, because if you look at the right-hand side, you have a bright object out there, like either it's a star or a planet, and that would have done
planet out there.
Right,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, we had some debunkers tell me that it was an airplane and blah blah blah. I kind of laugh at them, but this object was stationary, and we have a couple more photos of this object where it was actually rotating on its axis, and it's. It was kind of a scary experience for the witness, but of course we had to classify the case as unknown because we really don't know. We're just guessing.
Absolutely.
Now this Alloway Township. This is from where this picture is from, Bridgeton area of South Jersey. It's approximately 12 miles northeast of the Salem nuclear plant, and it's about 26 miles south by southwest of Dover Air Force Base. And I think that sometimes these craft, whatever they may be taking some of the energy from the high power lines. That's why I think that's why they like to hang around the nuclear plants.
Yep,
That's my theory, anyway.
So for some reason, the UFOs, unidentified flying objects, like to hang around nuclear locations for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
And we just don't know why right now. But hey, on Facebook, I've noticed that you've been putting photographs on there. Do you actually take? You go to Google Earth and you look at Mars, the planet, pretty thoroughly, don't you?
Finding a ton of things on Google Earth Mars. As a matter of fact, there's a few websites you can find. The bottom line is basically NASA has made it so hard to find these high-def pictures. NASA must have 100 different websites, and trying to find the right website with the one with the high-definition photos, it's easier said than done, but with my research I've been doing, I've been able to come across a couple websites where I still have a few thousand photos to go through. But it seems like every other time I scan a photo, it takes me about 4 or 5 hours to get through one photo. I'm usually finding some very strange things.
Wow! And do you place that on your website by any chance when you find them?
Yes, I put them on, I think it says Ken Piper's Discoveries and Info Gallery on, of course, worldufophotos.org. That's my main website with over 6,000 photos.
Awesome. Now, Alan is still working on the website. He's gonna put up a page that has your stuff on it, your information, your link, and all that kind of stuff. So bear with him. He's working on it right now, and hopefully this week I'll have it up, and he'll get you a link, and that way people who want to look at more very cool photographs, then I would suggest worldufophotos.org, and you can go over there and check him out because he has some great stuff. And the stuff you've been finding on Mars, dude, I've been paying attention, and you've been finding some killer stuff, man.
Yeah, I think so, because I've seen a lot of photos where people, it's like looking at clouds. If you look at the clouds, you can pick out shapes and faces all day long, and sometimes some of these so-called discoveries that some people have found on Mars, or the moon, I really can't recognize what the heck they are, and I've come across hundreds of images like that where I could easily, post it and says, well, this looks like this, looks like this looks like that, and I basically publish anything that I feel is definitely some kind of a craft or an object or a building or something on Mars and or Moon. So it's fun. It's awesome. My hobby, but my hobby's turned into a full-time job, I'm afraid to say.
Yep, same here, buddy. That's the way things are going with us too. So, all right, Ken. Hey, I appreciate the info and you coming on board and telling everybody this cool stuff, because people need to see this with their own eyes, and if you don't, then there's no way you're gonna believe. One of these days we'll be able to turn everybody's heads around and make you believers, but that's why we do this. So all right, Ken.
Don't worry about putting up old ones either.
Oh no, yeah.
Man, he has some killer ones on there.
Yeah,
I'm serious, hundreds of them.
I mean, if you want, you can go ahead and put up some old ones, because for this, this is the people out there. This is the first time they're actually seeing this, so don't worry about that. So all right, Ken. We'll look forward to next week, and we'll talk to you again on Sunday. Okay.
Later on, Ken.
Okay, Jeff and Alan, thank you, guys. You're the best, and I appreciate the opportunity for coming on.
Awesome, man. Thank you, Ken.
Care. Merry Christmas.
Talk to you next week.
Hey, same to you. Have a nice holiday, everyone.
Okay, bye.
Okay,
so now we're going to get a hold of Danny Valderrama, and this is just the producer, Emerald, is going to punch him in and get a hold of him. He has actually just, today his daughter, who happens to be in the Coast Guard, just arrived back from Seattle and down for 2 weeks for vacation, so he's pretty excited. So hopefully he didn't forget about us. I don't think so, because basically Bigfoot is his life. I think it's family, then Bigfoot, and so okay. So we're gonna and she got Danny on the line, and she's gonna patch him through. And Danny.
Hey.
Hey,
Jeffrey.
hey, what's going on, man?
Nothing much.
So?
Just in the middle of a party.
Sweet.
That's what I kind of figured.
Hey, Alan, how you doing?
Real good. How you doing, Danny?
I'm hanging in there.
Yeah, so your daughter's down for a couple of weeks, huh?
Yeah, she just got here about a half an hour ago.
With
Great time.
her fiance, I should say.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Their little dog, too.
Was what?
Their little dog, too.
A little dog. Oh, they already got the family down there.
It's a full house.
So what? So have they set a date or anything?
Yeah, in September of next year.
September. Cool. Awesome. Well, congratulations, and
you.
start working some overtime.
Yeah.
No more vacations. Ha!
No more vacations.
That's funny. So, all right, Mr. Squatch. Hey, we figured out a name for you. We're gonna call your report's gonna be the Squatch Report.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, Rick.
What? That? No, actually, Cheryl, my wife, came up with that.
Oh, Cheryl?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the Squatch Report sounds good to me, though. So.
Yeah.
All right. So, has it been a slow week this week, or what's going on with the
It
Bigfoot?
has, but there's one interesting development that has happened, and it could be pretty big if it's true.
Okay.
Jeff Meldrum, they're saying, has had a Class B sighting earlier this year. They're saying possibly the fall up in Alberta, Canada. And he was with John Bindernagel at the time. They're not saying much about it because they say that there might be a NDA, a non-disclosure act that he had to sign.
Why?
We don't know anything about it.
Why did he have to sign a disclosure act?
We don't know that yet. But they're saying that the story will be coming out soon.
Is there any?
If it's true, that'd be pretty big because that's the first time like an actual scientist,
Right.
who's usually spend their time debunking all these sightings,
Exactly.
have an actual sighting.
Yes. Yes.
For him to say that he actually saw something,
Ooh.
they're saying it could be a Class B or a Class A sighting.
Now, refresh everybody on Class A and Class B.
The Class A sighting is an actual sighting of the creature for over a minute or so, or you can actually tell it's not a bear. The Class B sighting would be a howl or a rock bang or a stick throwing or something like that, where you don't actually see the creature, but you know it's not a bear or somebody else in the woods.
Okay.
So,
Wow, very
which could
cool.
be pretty big.
Wow, yeah.
Did you see those pictures I put on my Facebook? What did you think
I
about
haven't
those?
seen anything.
Man.
Which were they of?
It's like the closest thing I ever saw to what I saw.
Oh, the one you put on a couple days ago. Yes, I did see that.
Man, it's like
The
muscular
nice chest and all that stuff,
yeah,
the outline of the chest.
I think I saw
all the
that one.
muscles.
Yeah, man.
That's cool. So, well, and then for all those who don't know who Jeff Meldrum is, I'm pretty sure you've seen him all over TV. He's the one, University of Idaho. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
And he's one of the only scientists that's brave enough to actually tackle this project on Bigfoot.
Right.
He doesn't care about the ridicule and all that stuff. And
he says the footprints. He does the footprints, right?
That's what we need. Yep.
Yep. So.
He's actually going in to take. He decided to take a look at one of the Bigfoot prints and just to see what was going on. And then he actually saw the thermal ridges in there, and the way a foot would step on the ground to have to leave a footprint like that, to carry the weight of a creature that big.
Right.
Everything was on there. And it just shocked him. So he decided, hey, there might be something to this. So he kept it going.
Right.
What do you think about that Bigfoot that they run in a video right now and it says Mike?
Oh.
You know. I mean, that sounds pretty compelling.
The one from Ontario?
Ontario, Canada, right?
I mean, from up there.
Right.
Yeah, he's been under a lot of ridicule because he's getting like too much good evidence.
Right.
So
I think it's actually good.
They're kind of on the fence on that one.
Yeah.
He's getting a lot of good evidence. He either knows exactly where to go,
and it's hard to say.
It could be something else.
Yeah, you are right, because for all those who don't know what we're talking about, there's this researcher who's in Canada, and he has audio of what he said it's a Sasquatch, and this I'm gonna see if I can imitate what it sounds like.
He calls it.
That's what he sounds. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like a person trying to
burp talk,
speak,
kind of like
speak. You know, but it's you know, and it's very audible. It's so clear. People are saying that it's a hoax because he's going into a studio and doing all this. And people are also saying the reason why they think it's a hoax is when you have an audible that clear, and whatever mic you're using, you should be able to hear the ambience of the forest or wherever he's in. So therefore, you can't hear the crickets, the birds, or anything like that. And it's just the Bigfoot.
Well, on this last one, it's saying marble.
Right.
Trying to get it to say marble.
Right.
And when it screeches, you could hear it like reverberating out of the forest.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it is loud.
And see, that's just it, though. To me, I'm not saying it's a hoax or the real thing. I'm not. I can't tell you that because I'm not there.
Yeah.
So, but it's
Yeah,
cool.
he's also got video too.
He
Of
does?
different, not of this time, but of a different time where he has one sitting in the bushes, looking around and stuff. But you can only see it from the back, and a lot of people are questioning the video because it keeps breaking at different parts. Like when the creature was about to turn around, there's a break in the thing. So it's all pretty questionable.
Right.
We see more evidence. Can't really make a decision on any of those.
Right. So.
It's fun to watch though and listen to. It makes the animals in my house
you gotta
freak
watch
out.
everything because then you can learn to weed out the fake stuff from the real stuff.
Absolutely so. All right, Danny, we're going to let you go. Go and hang out with your daughter, and we'll talk to you next week, okay?
Hey, man. Have a good Christmas.
Thanks, Danny. Okay, see ya.
All right, we'll see you guys.
Bye. Okay, so now what we got going is...
We're going to have to grab Danny up and go get some cameras.
Yeah, we are.
Real soon.
We're going to have to do that here pretty quick. Okay, we're going to get a hold of Jenny. Go ahead and contact Jenny, and we're going to talk now about... And again, you guys, I know it sounds ridiculous when I say it, but... fairies and gnomes and trolls and nature spirits, this is going to be cool stuff. So I can't wait. So Emerald
I didn't get a chance to do any research this week, so I'll have to go by what I know.
Right.
Right. I wanted to research a little bit, so I had good questions, but
So, okay.
Luckily, I know a lot of stuff from the Indian.
Right. So, Jenny, are you there?
Hi, yes.
Hi, Jenny. How's it going? My name is Jeffrey.
Hi, Jenny. I'm Alan.
Hi.
Hi. So
lovely to meet you.
Glad to meet you too. And for all those who don't know, my wife Cheryl has been in contact with Jenny. How long have you been? How long?
Watching her YouTube videos.
She's been watching.
Probably 2 months now, I think.
Is it 2 months?
Around there.
How long have you been watching her videos? 2 months, maybe. A year. Oh no, she's been watching your videos for over a year.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. So, and when let's go ahead and just start off with Jenni McKinnon. You're in Canada, correct?
Yes.
Right. And we have your book here, Befriending Faeries. Now, we're going to get into some cool stuff tonight. This is right up our alley, and I have so many questions to ask you. And first of all, we're going to go get started by, I want you to introduce yourself to everyone and explain to them why you wrote a book on fairies.
Okay, sounds great. Well, I'm Jenni McKinnon, and ever since I can remember, I've been very in tune to the spiritual world, and I was able to see spirits and communicate with them, and I experienced a lot of weird kind of abilities right from the get-go, and like empathy and stuff, being able to actually feel and take on other people's feelings and stuff like that. And so I've always been aware of the fairies' presence, but it wasn't till I was maybe around 8 or 10 years old when I watched a movie, and all of a sudden everything clicked. And this movie had fairies in it. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. That's who, I've been kind of feeling and sensing this whole time.
What movie is this?
And as a kid, I didn't have anyone to kind of show me the ropes and to kind of tell me what was really going on with me. So I had to figure out all on my own. And so when this happened, it was this big aha moment where it clicked. And so I started working with them after that, but it was very interesting because what led up to me working with them was this movie, and then after, I closed myself in my room, and I locked myself in, and I started just kind of pouring out my heart to them, and just telling them how much I love them, how much I wanted them in my life, how much I believed in them, knew they were there the whole time, taking care of me, and yet I wasn't even fully aware of them. And so I thanked them, and just wanted to befriend them. And 3 days later, I was at my friend's house, and I went to go use her computer to check my email, and when I left to meet her in her living room, I had walked past the dining room, and I just had this weird feeling to just look over. So my eyes just jet over to the dining room and to this table where a fairy was sitting and was waving at me and smiling. And I saw it clear as day, like I see it everyone else. And I was in shock. And so I looked back and was blinking my eyes so rapidly. And I looked back again, it's still there. I looked a third time, it was still there. But when I looked for a fourth time, it was gone. And so at that point, I realized that they had heard my message. And I was, going to be in more contact with them after that. So after that moment, things started really picking up from there, and I just started working with fairies more and more. And they helped really open me up to unconditional love and what that really meant and what that really felt like. Up until that point, I just had a really difficult time in my life being able to know what real unconditional love was and how to experience that and give that to other people. And so they really helped me to understand that and what that was and what that felt like. And it just had this huge, profound experience in my life. And ever since having them in my life, the whole world has just seemed more beautiful. There was a point a couple years ago where I wasn't quite able to connect with fairies because I blocked myself off. Unintentionally, but I kind of blocked myself off because I was more interested in surviving in this world and trying to figure out where my life was going and how to get everything done and to my liking and, get my life on track. And I was more concerned with work and climbing the corporate ladder, so to speak, than on balancing my life in its entirety, whether it was with my work life and spiritual life or just taking care of myself. And so I had closed that part of myself. And for a while I thought maybe the fairies were mad at me and they didn't like me. But I realized, afterwards that no, they were always there. I just closed myself off. And when you close yourself off emotionally, you close yourself off from all your abilities, your inherent intuition that everyone has, and that they're born with. So that's exactly what I had done. And what I realized in that time was that the world just didn't make really that much sense to me. Even walking through a beautiful forest or a beautiful garden, I just knew it was beautiful, but I didn't feel it. I didn't have this connection with it that I always used to have when the fairies were around and when I was conscious of them. So, and I was talking with my friend the other day through email, and she had this same exact experience. How the fairies just help you to understand the world so much better and from a whole new perspective of the innate beauty that is all around us and all the natural resources that are there for us. And it helps you to really see all the beauty and to really feel it and to feel it in your heart and your whole being. And that's a part of their message, is to just reconnect with them and reconnect with the world and the natural beauty that the world has so that we can understand it to start healing the earth as a whole and healing ourselves in the process. Because right now, there's so much going on in the world with, oil drilling and mining and all these things that are not helping, and, car fuel and driving around. It's all destroying the planet a lot quicker than if we were to just live here without those things.
Right.
And so they're trying to help us get back to the natural basics and back to creating a beautiful world that will be available for generations to come.
Now,
and they've been silent for a long time because, we haven't had that much good contact with them, and we kind of lost touch with them for a long time, and they kind of became a little estranged from us.
Right.
And they kind of got scared of us for a long time because people accused them of doing really bad things when they didn't.
Right.
And they were confusing them with darker entities. And so, we lost touch, and now they're trying to regain that connection back with us. And I'm trying to help with that, and that's what this book is all about, is helping people to regain that connection with fairies that we've lost for so many thousands of years.
Now,
and regain that connection and that family bond.
Now, Jenni, the movie you said that pretty much opened your eyes. What movie was that you saw?
Yes, it was called A Fairy Tale.
Fairy Tale. I'm trying to.
And it was about the classic story of these two girls in the 1900s who took pictures with their camera of fairies. And there's a lot of speculation on whether or not those photographs are real or not. But besides the point, like, that didn't really matter to me. It was the fact that, you know, these beings I'd been sensing the whole time did actually exist. And I knew that. And that's kind of what clicked for me.
Right. Now, when I started doing this, now to start off, you're Catholic, aren't you?
I grew up Roman Catholic.
Okay.
And I mean, nowadays I don't define myself as being a part of any religion or any kind of anything. I do what I do and I believe what I believe, and I don't label it anymore because I just don't see the need for it.
Right, and just to let you know, I was brought up Roman Catholic too. You know, I went, I went to catechism. I did the whole thing, but now since now since I got involved in the paranormal, things are my eyes are opening up, and the reason why I wanted everybody to know what that you were religious at one time is because. I want to talk to you about the Catholic side of the religion towards this kind of stuff, because back in the days, I think the Catholic religion knew about all this stuff, and they're keeping it hush hush. But again, we're going to talk about that now. Okay.
Yeah.
So fairies. Now, when people say fairies, they think Tinkerbell. And people start laughing, but there's way more. A fairy is it's just a general description. There's also elves, trolls, gnomes. There's different types of giants. Now, would you consider Bigfoot to be in that category?
That's a funny thing, and for me, it's kind of the Sasquatch, Bigfoot, whatever it's kind of a gray area, because that's a big can of worms, because they are definitely a part of nature in a sense, and they have this kind of love for it that fairies do, and nature spirits. But with them, they're kind of a little bit different of a category, because with fairies or nature spirits, they're the same thing. They are inherently spirit. They are just the same as like angels or spirit guides or anything in that realm. They are in spirit form mainly, whereas the Sasquatch, they're not. So you could say they are, but it's up to you whether you'd like to say it is or not. But for me, I would kind of put that in a different category.
Okay. Now, again, fairies. Fairy tales. I've always told people on this show that what you are now watching on TV or in the movies, a lot of that stuff happens to be real, and I believe they're trying to condition us for what's eventually it's going to come out in the open. Nowadays on TV, my wife and I, we watch. I want to say a lot of TV because we do, but we like a lot of the stuff that's on the CW, and for example, there's some great stuff that's coming out that represents the fairies and the gnomes. Like for example, True Blood. Okay, when that came out, it was vampires, but then all of a sudden they started talking about the fairies and fairy blood and all that. And I'm going, whoa, where is this coming from? A very popular #1 hit show on HBO. Now they're talking about fairies. And that kind of like blew us away. And, my wife has been watching your videos now on YouTube going on for, I think she said a year now. And and you're blowing her away because a lot of the sightings, and people call my 24-hour hotline, and they explain to us what they have witnessed or what they're witnessing, and a lot of the stuff are small creatures, and it's going right into what you're talking about, and that's why I wanted you to come on, because we have stuff going on in Fresno that lies right in that realm of nature spirits. And that's why, we need to talk, because people think that this is nonsense, complete nonsense, but it isn't. Now, fairies, gnomes, trolls, we have had some sightings here of and I don't want to say they're little people, but we believe they're I think trolls, that type of nature spirits. Now, back in the days, in the fairy tales, you have, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, for example.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you have shows on TV right now. You have Grimm, which is an absolute awesome show. We watch that all the time.
Yeah.
You have, and we're getting close to Christmas. All right. So you have Santa Claus, and who are helping this?
Yeah.
Who are helping? Santa. The elves. Okay. So you have all this right in front of your face, but people are they're not really hitting on the hints. You follow me? I mean, they're all around us.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
And so
but funny.
No,
sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, mainstream media nowadays is getting a lot better with depicting all kinds of paranormal and supernatural, spiritual ideas a lot more clearly nowadays than they did even 5-10 years ago. But for the most part, but even before then, and even a little bit still now, there's a big disconnect with what is actually true and what is just kind of made up for the purposes of the story. And that's part of what I talk about in my book as well, is all the misconceptions that are out there. There are so many that, generally that either fairies are evil beings, or at least neutral, not good or not bad, just neutral, or that they are tricksters, that they only want to play tricks on everybody and kind of make, their lives horrible. But that cannot be further from the truth. And that's with all the fear that's backed the fairies and the stories for thousands and hundreds of years. But, it's all rooted in misunderstandings. When, even when, back in the day when, there would be farmers and they would rely on their pantheon of gods to help, bring forth a good harvest and that kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, when weird things would happen and, those crops didn't grow, they would blame all kinds of reasons for why that might be happening. And one of the things that a lot of times they blamed were the fairies. But it ended up being just a misunderstanding. They would end up seeing these little creatures and not knowing what they were, and then making them go away and, basically scaring them out of their land. And then next thing you know, they don't have fairies helping weave the delicate magic of nature and of their crops to help them grow. And so all of a sudden their crops died, and they wondered why.
Right.
That all of a sudden their crops would fail. And even with the classic story of changeling babies, which are basically human babies that were changed with fairy babies. And, there's all kinds of reasons why people said that this happened, but oftentimes they would say these changing babies would end up being deformed and very odd-like and not very human. And, it depends on the story and the situation, but sometimes it was their reason for explaining deformities that came up when they gave birth and the baby ended up having some deformities. They just naturally assumed that's what it was. Or even so much as, a fairy would be giving the child a blessing or just making sure it was okay, and all of a sudden, in the corner of their eye, the parents would see something, and all of a sudden have these wild imagination of what might be going on, and all of a sudden thinking it's the devil trying to steal their baby or turn it evil or who knows what. And so a lot of stories just come out of the root of just ignorance of not knowing what really is going on. And then from there, it just built and built and built until we have this weird warped sense of what fairies really are and what they're set out to do. And that's kind of what's been even portrayed nowadays. I mean, we're getting better in the sense of a lot of shows have a much wider and broader view, and not so much the closed-minded view that we've had for a really long time of fairies. You know, like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Well, dwarves don't really, you know, do what they do in that movie and in that story. They are hard workers, but, I mean, that's pretty much where the resemblance ends for the most part
right.
At that point. But you have to remember, it is a cartoon. You know, there's only so much that people are going to know about them and reveal in TV and shows and that kind of thing. But that's the interesting thing about what we're seeing these days, is a lot more is coming out with all things paranormal. And we're seeing a huge boom of all kinds of shows that
yes.
have all these spiritual or paranormal type ideas and ideology to them, which is really cool.
Yes.
We haven't had that in a really long time.
Oh, absolutely. There's show after show after show now on the paranormal subject. I mean, for example, Sleepy Hollow. You have,
oh, yeah.
you know,
I love that show.
Oh, that's an awesome show, you know, and that right there depicts the four horsemen of the apocalypse. You know, that's really getting into, you know, so for some reason people are Hollywood is definitely coming out with a lot of great shows on the paranormal. Now, I think there's a reason for it. I think now we're coming into an age where I think
we're getting like a question, and
yeah,
a lot of people are asking it, is about fairy DNA. And
what do you mean?
Somebody mentioned it in
question.
chat, and now everybody's like, "What about fairy?" Like she said, it was a spirit. But then how could it have DNA and that? And everybody wants to know. So,
okay,
could you fill us in on the DNA part?
Yes, that is a two-part answer to that. But the funny thing is, I do talk about this in my book as well. But basically, yes, the fairies are, for most part, a spirit. But at the same time, so were we at one point. You know, we came from somewhere. And then we were born into these bodies as human beings. So fairies are similar in a sense that they are mostly in spirit form, but they do have their own world amongst ours. They have their own pocket realities that they create that kind of coincide with our world, but not exactly at the same time. The word that they use to describe them, well, besides hidey holes, is what most of them just call them. But the technical term they called it was a node, N-O-D-E. And what they basically described to me was that they created this pretty much energy bubble. And when they step inside, they can either create an entire world and connect them to others, or they can simply teleport themselves to another world. And that's pretty much what they use them for. And so they have these little nodes, several of them all around the world, that they kind of coincide with our world, but at the same time we can't see them. We can't really sense them or walk into them. We might, if we have a heightened sense for it, we might be able to kind of know that it's there, but we wouldn't be able to really access it.
Okay.
And in these worlds, it is very much a physical world, which is kind of really hard to get your head wrapped around. But within this world, it is completely physical, just like ours, except when we are in our reality and on Earth, it's not physical. We don't really see it or anything like that. As far as we know, it's not even there. So, in a sense, they are in a physical form. And so sometimes they are able to come into our world from time to time and keep that physical sense to themselves, and they can corporealize so that they are a material being. And this isn't something that just fairies do. I mean, all kinds of beings do that as well. I've even heard stories and from other people, and as well as my own experience, where spirits who should be spirits actually have a physical form that these people have witnessed and that I have witnessed before. And so it's definitely possible. And even when you look into quantum physics, I mean, you start to understand how this could possibly be a thing and actually not just science fiction, which I think is really cool that we're finally coming to this knowledge and coming into it and owning that. But anyway, that's a little bit of a tangent.
Okay.
But
okay, now my question is, though, that not question, but you said that they are there, but people can't see them. Now, what our governments have been trying to suppress, obviously the information of the fairies and everything paranormal in general, but I think the third eye comes into play when being blocked, and I think that is not allowing us to actually see what's really out there.
Well, you know what
exactly.
the tribes
and
the tribes say.
A lot of what has to do with that is the pineal gland. A lot of people and a lot of ancient religions see the pineal gland as being exactly where the third eye is said to be.
Right.
And the pineal gland, if you're just talking scientifically, it completely balances our body. It regulates hormones, our sleep patterns, and all kinds of things like that. So if that's blocked, all of a sudden you're out of balance, and you all of a sudden can't really function as a human being. And if you're going with kind of a more spiritual, paranormal sense, it is also connected to your third eye and to your third eye energy and that third eye chakra. And so when you have it blocked, a lot of our senses kind of goes away, especially what people would refer to as the sixth sense.
Well,
and something that blocks that is fluoride. It calcifies the pineal gland.
Right.
And, if you drink tap water, well, you're drinking fluoride too. And if you're using regular off-the-counter toothpaste, probably has fluoride in it too.
Well, you know what the tribe...
So that definitely blocks it.
The tribal members, the Native Americans, I don't know about Canada, but I down like the Cherokee or the 5 civilized tribes, they see these little people. They don't call them fairies or anything, but I'm thinking it's like basically the same thing. They believe that in order to see them, you have to fast for 7 days and pray or meditate for 7 days, and then you're like cleansed yourself enough where it opens up where you can see them. And then one of the things I wanted to ask about, that said, they also say, like, when they're able to see them and say they say they live in the mountain or something, where they'll walk into a creek and follow these things into a mountain and stay with them where they think it's maybe 3 hours. And then when they come out, it's been like several days. And
yep.
Is that something that you found to be like that?
Yeah, absolutely. If you are able to kind of get into the energy even of these pocket realms that they create, all of a sudden time is pretty much non-existent or is very wonky at best. And so if you are actually able to kind of really get yourself to a point where you are very aware and very open, you can open yourself to these energies and very much experience a lot of what's going on. Maybe not completely physically, but at least on a very spiritual level. And it becomes quite real to you. And so, I mean, in that sense, you end up tapping into this energy and into this world, and you are directly affecting yourself and your body. And so definitely time can be very fuzzy, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, it's a week later, or even a couple hours later when you think it's only been a couple minutes, and you go, what just happened there?
Yeah, when they say they leave...
That's definitely not odd to me at all.
Say they leave, but, and they follow them follow them, and then when they come back to the village people are, they're the ones that tell them, hey, you've been gone like 7 days. And they're like, no, we only been gone 2 hours, and they say, no, 7 days, and that seems, and there's a lot of lore like that, like One of the ones is Rip Van Winkle. That's like a fairy tale. And I was talking to my mother-in-law. They're all Native American, and she was saying that the Rip Van Winkle story actually verifies what the Native Americans were saying in the same general area, like geographic area. They had the same stories of, gone, and then they come back and it's 20 years later, and it seemed like they were gone a week or 2 days or something. And that's the same thing as what Rip Van Winkle's story. The guy comes back and he's, wakes up 20 years later or whatever.
Right. Now, children, I think under
They're
the
more
ages,
open to it.
yeah, children under the age of 7 and 8 o'clock, the children under the ages of 7 or 8, for some reason, and that goes for my son too. Now he's out of it, but he used to tell us that he could see different things or just things that we could not see, and we always thought they were ghosts. Now, we think that right where a person turns 7 or 8 is when the pineal gland starts to basically freeze up, and then from there on you can't see what the children you used to see, and we always thought they were ghosts. Now, and like you said, fluoride, the things we eat, something that
Absolutely.
The Monsanto, my wife is totally against all that. She's very she's organic. She likes organic foods and stuff like that, and she's trying to persuade me to go into that side, and it's really hard because I love all the junk foods and the sodas and stuff like that, but she's trying to get us to we don't use fluoride anymore. We stopped using fluoride toothpaste, fluoride mouthwash. We don't use fluoride anymore. And she's trying to she's always buying stuff organic, but still it's really, really hard. Now, do you actually eat the good stuff? I mean, do you stay away from all the junk foods and the sodas and all that, and do you go strictly organic yourself?
For the most part, I'm a vegan, and I try to go raw vegan as much as possible. But I mean, sometimes I do stray a little.
Right.
I am human. I'm not perfect.
Right. Well, no,
but
yeah.
for the most part, I at least keep a cooked vegan diet, and I eat mostly fruits and vegetables and as much organic as I possibly can get my hands on. And I find when I eat vegan, when I eat mostly raw fruits and vegetables, I feel at my peak of health, and I am way more in balance and way more open to the spiritual world. I find when I have, junky type foods or anything like that, it completely brings me down. And all of a sudden I feel way different. I feel out of balance. I feel out of tune. I can't really connect very well anymore, and I have to really work that much harder at it. And it's so much more draining when you have all this, not so good stuff in your diet. And
that's the
way I eat.
You were gonna say crap,
and
huh?
it really helps.
You were gonna say crap.
I wasn't sure if I could say that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're getting all that crap. That was
One
funny.
of those $20 T-bone crabs.
That's funny. So okay, now no, go ahead.
Oh, there's a lot of reasons why around that age we stop experiencing all these wonderful things. And there's lots of reasons. It's partially because we're conditioned to believe they're not real and it's our imagination. It's partially because of, our lifestyle that we've been taught to adhere to, whether it's just kind of having junk food or having boxed foods all the time, or even eating low dense, not rich in nutrient food. And even with meat, it brings your energy down so low to the point where you end up being very closed off to all of this paranormal spiritual stuff. So, even eating vegetarian or vegan once a week helps a lot. But the best advice I can give for anyone trying to kind of transition to more organic, vegetarian, vegan, or anything like that, is to really pace yourself and give yourself time. If you try to go cold turkey, you will relapse and you'll go back to eating the way you did, and you will never go back to trying. So what I always do, like when I was vegetarian for at least 5 years, and then I started slowly becoming vegan, and I'm still vegan, even, a couple years later. And the more I pace myself and really slowly introduce these different ideas into my diet, the more I actually end up sticking to it, the more I'm able to recognize all these wonderful benefits it has, and the more I'm actually invested in it and want to stick with it. So that's kind of the best advice I can give, is to really pace yourself and to not judge yourself too harshly on what you eat and what you kind of lifestyle you live, and try to slowly
like working out,
condition yourself and recondition yourself to a better lifestyle.
Right. Like Alan was saying, like working out, going to the gym, and, once you get started, it's very hard. So, all right,
it's
now,
hard to start, but once you get going, then you're like, oh, yeah.
Got to go to the gym every morning.
Yeah.
The heck with that. I'm staying sleeping at 7 o'clock and saying.
I was like a total gym weirdo. I was there every morning at 7 o'clock.
All right, now let's talk about this, nature spirits. We're investigators. I run a paranormal society called the Sanger Paranormal Society. So we're just not here, as talk show hosts. We actually go out and investigate.
Mm-hmm.
We go look for Bigfoot. We go investigating, haunted houses, or if people have situations where they think, their facility is haunted. We'll go and investigate it. Now, in your book, you state that fairies like to play jokes on people. Now, I want to tell you a story that happened. That actually we investigated a facility up in a town called Oakhurst, and I think Emerald was with us at the time. We did the restaurant. Yeah, we did that restaurant. Now, one of the things she said. Now, this is up in the hills in Oakhurst where there used to be a lot of mining going on up there, okay? And what they stated, and the reason why she called us, is because a couple of times at nighttime when they were closing down the restaurant, she would go and take the money out of the register and put it in a bag, and then she would turn around and do something, come back, and it would be gone. And she'd say, what the heck is going on here? And then she would go and she'd find it in a different location. And that would be all. That would happen with car keys as well. And then when I read this in your book, I'm going, holy smokes! What people are thinking that their house or business is haunted, it really isn't. Another thing that you mentioned in your book was that fairies like to braid hair. Like, for example, you said, a child could be asleep, and then when that child would wake up, her hair would be braided. We had a story. Yeah. We had a story where this actually happened to horses up up in the mountains. Okay,
the horse disappeared.
No, the horse's mane would be braided.
Oh, yeah.
All right, and then we thought, okay, well then maybe the Bigfoots are doing it. But when I saw this in your book, I'm going, holy smokes! Well, then maybe the actual nature spirits are actually braiding the manes on the horses.
Yeah, absolutely. And even when they, pick up your stuff and put it somewhere else, or even put it in the general same area, just slightly over, just enough so it was moved, and it kind of drives you crazy for a while. They're not doing it for a malevolent intent. They're doing it to help us to slow down and realize, what? Relax. Stop stressing. Life doesn't always have to be stressful and about work and getting stuff done. You have to keep that balance of work and play. And so they're trying to get you to take a minute, take a breath, realize life is not over because you cannot find your keys. And then, of course, once you realize that, there they all of a sudden are.
That's interesting.
And so it's very much kind of a lesson for us that they're trying to get us to playfully, understand.
Right. Now that like Alan just mentioned, the word poltergeist. I think that's where people are thinking that their house is haunted. Poltergeist. Now, was it Ireland? and I believe it's Ireland, if I'm not mistaken, is where they really believe in the nature spirits, to where if they are building a road or a highway and they know of a location where a nature spirit has actually been seen, they will not build that road or a house or building in that location. They will build around it, because if they go and disrupt that area, then eventually down the road they will experience weird things in that location. If it's a house, a building, a road, and they really believe in that stuff, and that's where I think the poltergeist comes into play. Is that right? Is that right up to in nature spirits?
Well, that's Iceland that they do that,
right.
And they're often that
Iceland.
way. I think they're more in tune to that part of life and that reality. And for me, with fairies, they'd rather not see all these buildings being, erected and with all this non-efficient, energy and, because it's not helping the planet. And so they'd rather not have that, but they also recognize that, guess what, we have free will too. So that's what they kind of want to help us with, partially as well, is to get back to our roots and get back to a more energy-conscious living and lifestyle. But, part of that is they get upset. They go, seriously, guys, are you not getting the message? And so, they're a lot like human in the sense that they aren't perfect. And they have a wide range of emotions that they experience regularly, as we do. And so they do get upset and they do get frustrated, but at the same time, they are more aware and balanced and more in tune, like angels, where they're able to calm themselves down and realize, what they're doing before they cause major damage. And so with situations like this, they kind of can get upset, and if they leave the area, for example, then all of a sudden that place kind of deteriorates really quickly, and it kind of falls apart, or like things just don't end up working out because they're not there to kind of help guide things along. Or even sometimes they might just throw a rock at something and it kind of goes from there. And sometimes they do get upset because we're hurting their home. We're hurting our home, and they just don't really understand how we could be doing that. Right. And how we could be that disconnected that we're just kind of doing things that really shouldn't be happening. Well, and so a lot of times they're just confused. And that's where they're in more of a category of spirit, where they're not so conscious of how human beings live and how it is difficult, and we aren't always aware and in tune. So they kind of sometimes lack that awareness and not really know exactly what we're going through a lot of the times in terms of our thought process, and not being able to recognize things like this. And so it's really cool that places like Iceland are able to recognize this and to try to be at least a little more conscious of what they're building and where.
Right. Okay, now before we continue on, what I want to do is we have 2 books that we're going to give away tonight. Mm-hmm. So what we're going to do is right now, we're going to take the 10th caller at 559-287-8367. 559-287-8367. The last 4 numbers represent UFOS. Be the 10th caller, and we're going to give you one of Jenni's books, Befriending Faeries. Now, Emerald is going to start taking calls, so go for it. And as soon as she gets the 10th caller, I'll let you guys know that she has the winner, and you guys stop calling. But as of right now, start calling people. So, okay, we're going to continue on here. God, so many questions. God, now the reason why we found out about you, like I said, is my wife Cheryl has been watching your videos for over a year, and then she told me that you're having problems with videos on YouTube. Are they messing with you for some reason?
No, that's something completely different. It's a whole layer of problems. I think they helped me kind of really recognize what was going on and, what was really happening. But it was kind of a myriad of problems. partially, like what would happen is I would send messages through YouTube and it just wouldn't send, or a blank message would send. And then a person would message me back and go, you didn't actually send anything. And I'll go, are you kidding me? I wrote this huge long thing. How did it not work? And a lot of the comments that I get I don't even get notification of them through email or through YouTube. So somehow, I'm going on the page of the videos and looking at the comment section and going, I don't remember seeing that. I don't remember seeing that one either. And on top of that, it's really hard to post videos. And I'm not, it's so weird how all of a sudden my internet will crash when I'm trying to post a video, or YouTube will crash, or something will happen really strangely and not even relating to YouTube. And all of a sudden, I just won't be able to do any work related to videos. And so when I actually paused and when I thought about it, they helped me realize that I was really out of balance and that I wasn't taking care of myself as I should be, and that I need to stop, rest, and reevaluate and start again later I felt that was the right thing to do.
Do you think it's something else? Do you think, because, we experience the same things here, and we are experiencing these things here because, the government are watching us. Do you think maybe they're watching you and they're messing with you?
I think partially that might be something that's going on as well, and I think a lot of people have experienced the same thing. And it kind of, in a way, goes together with the whole government thing. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and I'd rather not believe, my government is against me in some way. But, when I'm getting all this evidence for myself and my own experience, it's getting harder and harder to believe that there isn't some faction of the government that is kind of, not being completely honest with us, which is kind of sad. But a part of what's also going on is in tandem is that there's darker spirits in this world, and often they impersonate fairies so that we don't believe in them, we move away from them, and then we move away from nature and our connection with it, and all of a sudden we destroy our home and, in effect, destroy our existence. And so they would love it if we didn't connect with fairies. So they often pretend to be fairies, being malicious, mischievous, or downright rude and evil and vindictive and just causing such harm. And all because, they play it up like it's a fairy being playful when really it's not. And a lot of, even outside of that, there's a lot going on that most people aren't aware of. And, they might be better for it, honestly. But there are darker entities that are trying to mess with us, especially when it comes to spreading this kind of knowledge with everybody that could very much benefit other people, because they don't want to have the world to awaken to all of this whole reality that we have right in front of us that we can't see yet, most of us can't see yet.
We got it.
And so they're definitely playing a part in that. Okay. And so it's a difficult situation to kind of be in when that kind of stuff all kind of happens all together at once. And when that kind of thing happens, the best thing that you can do just quickly without really knowing anything is to just send love. Send out love to those beings, and they will go away because they can't stand it. They can't stand it at all. Okay, so that's the easiest thing. Right on. Okay,
we got the 10th caller. We got a winner here, so everybody stop calling. You had a question. Did they mind that they...
He said he was your cousin, Mike Fuentes.
Oh, Sacramento. Mike
nice.
Won the boat out of Sacramento. So okay, Alan, you said you had a question. The chat. We have a chat.
The chat is asking a question again.
Yeah.
When she was talking about the evil part of it, like, what about this evil spirit thing that you were talking about?
What?
Yes. Most people would recognize them as being demons. And they unfortunately do exist, but not exactly like most people would think. They are they're quite, for the most part, they're powerless. And if they weren't, they would be doing a lot worse to us. But they don't really have much power, and what gives them power is fear. They feed off fear and off anxiety and panic. So if you feed into that and you all of a sudden get scared and panicked, it's going to happen more and more, and it's going to get worse. So if you are confident, you stand in your power, it will go away. Or at least be less severe to the point where you could probably easily kind of get rid of it with some sending out some love. But there are many different types of demons, and most of them, they can't really do anything. And the ones that do a lot, and I hate to even admit it because it's so sad, but they are helping the government and very much involved with the government to help kind of in very small ways, but in very significant ways in parts of the government, small parts of the government, to help kind of get rid of a lot of stuff that a lot of people are trying to put out there, like, stuff about fairies and about anything paranormal or anything like that. And those demons are just very in secret, and they don't surface often, so they're not really that much of a threat to us in our daily life, in our personal lives. But overall, like, I know a lot of people who are working to rectify this at the same time. So it's being taken care of slowly, but it still is very much a problem for a lot of people.
Now, when it comes to religion, the Catholic Church, do you think they know exactly what's going on with, the nature spirits?
I think they definitely know a lot more than they are willing to say, and a part of that is if they do admit to everything, they lose a lot of control.
Right.
And the Catholic Church has a history of wanting control over the masses. And, I mean, I don't have anything against the Roman Catholic religion or Christianity or anything like that. I think at its core it's beautiful. I mean, what could be wrong about loving everybody? Like, I just don't think there's a problem with that. But what is a problem is the human error that comes with carrying such a lovely message. It can get distorted along the way by so many different people, and unfortunately that's kind of what happens. And so the end result is a lot of darkness and a lot of not telling people what's really going on. But it's kind of hard to divulge that information to everyone where it's been so closed off for so long. So it's kind of a catch-22 a lot of the times, I think.
I heard that by doing research and reading that the Catholic religion, and we're talking back in the 17th century and 16th and 18th, that there are ley lines on our earth, and there are certain areas on our planet where there's areas where there's very spiritual and very strong energy, and that's where I believe the nature spirits are really strong. And what they do is when they find a location is they seize that location and they build a church on it, and they try to cover up what we think or what we know now as a very strong energy portal or whatever it is. The Catholic Church will seize on it and take it over. And I found that out to be that they're doing this all over the world, and wherever you see, and not every single Catholic church per se, but wherever there is a church, for some reason they put a church there because there's something going on at that location, and in order for them to cover it up, they build a church. So
for sure.
Yeah, so like you said, we were both brought up to be in that religion. I still believe in a God. I mean, where are you?
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so there is obviously, we believe in a God, but there is way more to it than just that, and
Definitely.
and I think that by doing this, we're going to open some eyes. Now,
we got another
question?
Question out of the chat.
Okay,
they're asking about the DNA in the humans, that there's that DNA in the humans. There's something about that.
Right. I didn't end up finishing that whole story there. But yes, sometimes there is, although nowadays it doesn't happen anymore. But back, like, way down our history, humans and fairies very much coexisted, and it was just life. And sometimes, it would happen where a fairy would come in physically, and they would fall in love with humans. We can be very endearing and charming, I think. And so they would end up having a family together. But oftentimes, and most of the time, it was very looked down upon. And so it was, these kids were either, adopted so that the parents could, save the child, or they ran away in exile, or they were chased away. And so it was very hush-hush, don't talk about it, this didn't exist, it's not happening kind of thing.
Well,
and
if they look
it wasn't really something that was really talked about or anything like that. But
if
what
they
ended
look
up
for
happening is that they, way down the line, there were humans that were born with, partial fairy DNA.
Would they find it in us right now?
There are some people now that, have a tiny piece of that within them. And, for a long time I didn't want to really admit this because it sounds so ridiculously crazy, even to me. But when I just talk to so many people where they go, you know what, I think I might be crazy because I think I might have like fairy DNA or something, and they're coming to me like so confused, and I go, okay, this is way too many people to just not be real and to not be true. So
I think they could take some blood and find out if you're a fairy.
Well, I don't think they have. Well, you know what? Knowing our government, they have all that in the database already. Bigfoot and everything else.
Yeah.
They all know.
I know
all
the
this.
Government does.
Oh yeah, the government has all this. Already in their data banks now. Now, have you ever seen the video? And I don't know if Cheryl, my wife, I don't know if she sent you the link, but the video on YouTube called "The Night Crawlers of Fresno."
Yes, I did search that on online, and unfortunately, the videos that I was able to come up with, I really felt that they were fake.
Okay.
So I wasn't able to really find a genuine video, which is really sad. But I don't at all.
Well,
think that it's not out there.
Right. Well, which ones? Because there are several of them on the internet. And the one where they're walking on on stilts and on a sheet, that is fake. There are a couple of them that are fake, but the one that I believe there is something to it is the one that was filmed here in Fresno. And I'll have to send you a link after the show. But we're getting reports. As a matter of fact, north of Fresno, we had a location where we found by accident where there used to be some copper mining going on, right? And we came in contact with the owner of the property, and he says that one time he actually saw, and he thought it was an alien, but what threw us for a loop is that this particular alien had a headlamp on the forehead. And this was several years ago when we didn't really put two and two together until we said, wait a minute. We believe maybe what this guy saw was an actual, I don't know, a troll or a type of fairy, because isn't it true that they take care of the earth and they do, they take care of the minerals, they mine and all that. Isn't that right? I mean, that's where the seven dwarves came into play, right?
Absolutely, and those types of fairies are called kobolds. They are miners, and they, help the world in that way, and to have that side of beauty in the world. And they also help in our world to create that beauty, but also to maintain it, mostly. But also, when miners are down there, it's the fairies and those kobolds that type of fairy kind of helps in a sense that it's their guardian. And so, they help because it's a very dangerous job. So they kind of try to guide them so that they don't make huge errors that could cost them their life. And so that's mostly how they help nowadays. And they're trying to work to restore, the things that have been damaged in the earth because of mining. But it's becoming more and more difficult for them, especially because we're, as humans, collectively, we're not helping them in that effort. So it's becoming harder and harder for them to have an effect and to help us in that way. But that's mostly what they do nowadays.
Okay. What we're going to do right now is we're going to give away... What's the matter?
I have a quick question
Okay,
for you.
Emerald has a question. Go for it.
You said the cobalts would be like guardians to these miners. Do you think they would stick to a personal one, or do you think they just guard them all? Like, would each one get a different miner?
Sometimes, mostly when it comes to fairies collectively, they kind of guide us as we need them. But we do each have our own fairy guides, at least one, sometimes many. It really depends on the person and where they are in life and when they need that particular guide. But in this instance, what I'm talking about is it ends up being more of a temporary guide for while they're, mining. But for some people, it's very possible if mining is their life, and this is what they're going to do for the rest of their life, that it is their guide, and they guide them whether they're in the mine or not. So it's kind of, yes and no. It depends on the situation.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to give away your second and last book to the, again, 10th caller. So we're taking the 10th caller at 559-287-8367. 559-287-8367. Go ahead and call and try to win Befriending Fairies from Jenni McKinnon. All right, we're going to continue on here really quick, and we're going to keep you on for about another 5 minutes, and because we've had you on now an hour, so that's awesome. So, all right, we had, last week or 2 weeks ago, we were talking about this video, the night crawlers, right? And we lost her. That was weird. Okay, get her back on the phone there. Probably. There it is.
Hello.
Hey, something happened there, so we got you back.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I knew that was going to happen. I just felt it, but then I've tried to think positive.
So, okay. No, what was I going to ask? Doggone it. Shoot. I had a question I was going to ask you, and this whole drop line threw me for a loop. Oh my gosh. Huh?
Let me guess. It was about fairies.
Yeah, that's what it was.
That was good. I think it was.
Yeah, it was probably. Gosh darn it! You know what? I forgot. Okay. Well, anyways, now this is Befriending Fairies. This is your updated edition, correct?
Yes.
Okay. When was the first edition the first edition? When did you write that?
That one was, I think, that was 2 years ago.
Okay.
So that would have been 2011 that I wrote that.
And then you updated
and that
it.
was released in October.
Okay, and then you updated it, and now we have the updated version now. So if anybody wanted to get your book, they can go to Amazon or Barnes & Nobles, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and then it's Befriending Fairies if anybody wants to get that book. Are you going to write another one here pretty soon?
Yep, there's going to be 2 more in this series. The next one's going to be on hearing fairies, and the one after that, seeing fairies.
Wow. Okay, very cool. Now, one of the questions
Each one builds up
awesome.
on the next.
Mythology. Does that have anything to do with fairies and nature spirits?
In what way do you
Well,
mean?
we're finding out, in mythology you have dragons and you have all that type of animal. I don't want to say animals, but that type of future, just weird looking creatures. Does that come? Does that? Is there any way that in the mythology there are like the trolls and I mean, because I'm not really into mythology, but Emerald is really into the mythology, into dragons. And a lot of people are witnessing dragons as well to this day. Even here in Fresno, they're witnessing what people are thinking are Mothman, but I mean, I mean these dragons are actually being witnessed by a lot of people. Is that part of the nature spirits as well? That type of creature?
They're a little bit like Sasquatch in the sense that they're a little bit different. Okay. But they are very much, again, in tune with nature, and they are more of kind of a elemental spirit in the sense that they have, they're kind of in the circle of the original 4 elements that we kind of came up with, thousands of years ago, of earth, air, fire, water. And those categories are very profound in the sense that this is kind of how the spiritual world kind of works in a lot of ways. And those elements are very prevalent when it comes to working with fairies a lot of the times. They have different kind of elements that they prefer to work with. And with dragons, they're very much embody the element of fire. And, I mean, I've experienced dragons as well. And even though they're, not a creature in the sense that, like a living animal in this world right now, they are very much, real and just in kind of a spirit form. And they have their own kind of place where they reside. But with other kind of creatures of the same kind of genre, I guess you could say. Right. But, dragons are definitely real, and they're definitely not malevolent. They can just be a little intimidating, though, because they do exude so much strength and assertiveness. But at the same time, when you really kind of let your guard down a bit and cautiously move forward, you all of a sudden realize that they're actually really gentle and have so much just genuine love, unconditional love to them, and it's incredible. And they're so incredibly wise. And if you actually communicate with them telepathically, they have a lot of wisdom to impart to us as well.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I think now I remember what I was going to ask or tell you is that a couple of weeks ago when we were telling everybody that we were going to have you on the air and we showed everybody the Nightcrawler video, I got a call or an email from a truck driver, and he, as a young boy, and I'm thinking right around 3rd grade, which is, that around age of 7 or 8 years old, him and his brother were out in the front yard, and they witnessed what he thinks was a tree spirit that appeared to them, and both the boys saw it, and the spirit freaked out and said, "Oh man, they can see me," and left, type of deal. And the reason why he had kept this, he's like 44 years old and he's never told anybody about it. But when we were talking about that on the air, it blew him away that other people are witnessing the same exact thing. And and when you have a truck driver listening to dark matter, and all of a sudden, what? Somebody else has actually, witnessed exactly what I've witnessed, then, it makes them feel a lot better because they know, oh my God, I know now, okay, I'm not going crazy, and I bet there's so many other people who have witnessed this that are freaking out and keeping this all inside of them. And one of the reasons why I like to talk about this is so that people can come forward and tell us their story, because this stuff is actually happening all over the world. Absolutely. And people need to, just like you said, open up their brain a little bit here, because there is way more to it than people think they know, and it's not just
if there was nothing to it, there wouldn't be fairy tales going all the way back to Grimm.
Right.
When they wrote Grimm.
Right.
And it's funny because when you look at mythology and different kinds of stories like this, you can see it in so many different cultures. and it's relatively pretty much the same idea.
Right.
And even with dragons, they're in every culture, and yet how could they not be real in any sense? You know, they've got to exist in some form, and especially, you know, beings like fairies, if all these cultures all over the world have this same idea, even when there was a time when we weren't all collectively, globally connected like we are today.
Right, and for all those, you know, the Grimm brothers started writing in the, the late 1700s or early 1800s is when they started writing all these fairy tales. So something was going on way back then for them to come out with these stories.
And was it, one of the kings of England, they called him Pendragon. That was his name, Pendragon. He had a dragon on his shield or crest that he carried around. I mean, and then in the Chinese, they have dragons. Yeah. I mean, everywhere you go, there's dragons.
Yeah. Man. So, you know that stuff is for real. They have seen it, or else they would have never.
And the same with all the little people, too.
Right.
I mean.
Yeah, I mean, you can't say, I mean, where are all these stories coming from? Obviously, they're coming from someplace, and you know, people who have witnessed these things, and that's why they're writing about them. So
you think Rumpelstiltskin was a bad one?
Rumpelstiltskin was a bad one. I don't know. Good question. So
see, the funny thing with Rumpelstiltskin is that a lot of the interpretation of that story is that Rumpelstiltskin is a fairy, and I wouldn't doubt that, in the sense that fairies are very secretive about their name. They give us kind of whimsical names because a name has a lot of power to it, especially when you're kind of in the spiritual world. And a lot of people can use that negatively. They can use that to kind of, almost draw them to them whenever they please, against their will. And just weird things like that some people tend to do. So they realize, to protect themselves, that they can't share their name, the name that they have chosen for themselves. So they kind of give us, random names like Rumpelstiltskin or Flower Bottom or something, just, so that we can acknowledge them and relate to them and talk to them, but they keep that part of themselves safe and protected.
Awesome. Makes sense. Makes sense. So
I always wondered about that one. And Rumpelstiltskin, and then you had to say his name backwards,
Back in, so Emerald, any questions? No, we're good. So okay, Jenni, we are going to let you go. I want to thank you very much for coming on the show with us tonight. People, when I tell people that there are fairies and trolls, they look at me, what are you smoking? But that's basically what we get on this side. But having you on and talking about this and other people witnessing exactly what we're talking about, it's people need to really stop and think about everything around them, because what they're watching on TV now and in movies, all this, I believe they're conditioning us for something to happen in the future. And there's no reason why you can't believe in fairy tales, and you just have to sit down and, like you said, see if you can communicate. And I never even really thought about that. Cheryl has been trying to lately, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try it and see what happens, because who knows? I guess I have to stop eating all the junk food though, which is going to be hard. So
it definitely does help. Getting your body prepared in that way definitely helps. Getting your mind prepared and trying not to be as stressed helps. And also, most importantly, coming from a place of non-judgment of yourself and the fairies. Not expecting anything profound, just going in with a playful, let's just try this and see what happens. And all of a sudden something happens, and it might be small, but the more you kind of go for it and go, oh my gosh, that's pretty cool, and you keep going, it just builds and builds and builds until you have these amazing stories to tell.
Right. Awesome. All right, Jenni, I want to tell everybody, make sure if you didn't win a book tonight, I'm sorry, but you can always go to Amazon.com or Barnes & Noble. It's called Befriending Fairies, and go get her copy. And she says she has 2 more in the works, and it's going to be a series of 3, and this is the first one. So,
and I will be archiving the show,
yes.
and I'm also going to put you and your link into like an archive page where they can come back and go to that page and click on it and go buy your book and go to your website.
Okay, so she's going to archive that. You'll be able to go and watch the video again, Jenni, and give them a couple days, and it'll be up on our archive page on paranormalcentral.net. And that
for all the listeners too, they can go back and click on the links. It'll take them to Amazon.com and all that,
awesome.
So they can buy the book.
Sweet. All right, Jenni. Thank you very much for coming on,
Jenni.
And I'm sure Cheryl will be texting you here pretty soon.
Wonderful, and thank you so much for having me on. It was awesome.
Awesome. Okay,
you're
Jenni,
awesome.
Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Thanks.
All right.
Sounds good.
Okay. Bye. Bye.
She has a little bitty voice. I love it.
So the what David witnessed at the mines, the night crawlers.
Well, you remember it was brought up in chat. Remember David Ragosa had that wood fairy picture, or what he thought was a wood fairy picture. It was like a light being or something like that. Remember?
Oh yeah.
I mean, Danny brought it up, and it was like, wow.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, I thought about like if we could put it up, but only I don't know where it is.
Yeah,
it would take me forever.
And it's like what you were saying that they
have it on Facebook,
they like to play tricks and throw rocks and throw stones. Mm-hmm. That's the stuff people are always experiencing up in the mountains, in the hills. Especially here in the foothills where we have so much gold, so much mining. Excuse me, that it could be that. When I was reading the braiding of the hair.
Well, what if they're friends with Sasquatch and hang with them? Because I mean, she was saying they're not. What do you call it? Dimensional or whatever. Like
they're actually flesh and blood.
But only there's stories of other people that say they are.
Right.
They can go into a portal and they know where they are. I mean, I have a couple of videos I watch of that.
Right.
Go into a Bigfoot portal.
You have my phone?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what we've been doing as far as yesterday. We're really not going to get into it that much, but Alan and I, we had a meeting yesterday. As you guys know, we are in the works of going into film 5 more episodes of Paranormal Central, the TV talk show. And we decided that, the last place we did it, the pilot, and I think what we need to do now is do it in front of a live audience. So we had a meeting with a theater, the owner of the theater, we're not going to tell you which theater it was, yesterday. And this theater actually, it turns out that this would be probably really, really perfect for what we want to accomplish in the filming of the next 5 episodes of
really
Paranormal.
Quick.
Yeah.
Danny said he just posted that picture on your Facebook wall.
Oh, okay.
So everybody could go over there and check it out.
So the Facebook, if you go to my Facebook wall, if you're not friends, then you need to be a friend. Because if not, you're going to miss a lot of stuff. But go to my Facebook wall, and Danny placed, I believe it was a light that one of the game cameras that David placed up in Me and Jim are in. I have no idea what that means. Me and Jim are in. But anyways, David goes and places these game cameras up in the mountains, to try to get a good picture of Sasquatch, and he has been getting light anomalies which should not appear because it's in the forest and there's no way it could be the moon or the sun or the stars, but there are light anomalies that appear in several of these snapshots that these game cameras capture. And it's blowing us away because this is happening at 12 to 1 o'clock in the morning where no one should be there. You have to understand where these are placed. It's in the middle of nowhere. There's no campsites. You have to take dirt road after dirt road after dirt road to get there. It's not somebody walking around with a flashlight or a headlamp. It's something very paranormal, we think, and we're trying to figure out what's really going on. And now, as we're getting into the nature spirits, it's making sense to us that maybe that's what these things are up there. And and David is getting them on camera. Just simple as that.
Yeah, and then on the website, if you go to the contact link at the very end, I have some links to so far mine. I gotta work on Jeffrey's, but it's to follow our Facebook. It doesn't really make you a friend, but at least it's a link to it, and you can follow us. And some, because I don't know how long before we can't add any more friends, but it's getting to that point where we're like filled up.
Right.
Not me, but Jeffrey. So you can go over there and you can follow Jeffrey, and you'll be able to see all the pictures and everything that we post.
Cool deal.
Yeah.
So yesterday, like I said, we had a meeting with the owner of one of the theaters. There are 4 theaters here in Fresno. We went to one, and it happens to be what we're actually looking for. So
it was awesome.
So we talked with the owner of the theater, and we explained to her our situation in the filming of these episodes, and we told her, what is going on with the whole filming process. And they're taking it into consideration. Hopefully, they're going to give us an answer here pretty soon. And if it goes good and they accept, what we're going to do there, and everything is good, then hopefully we're going to start shooting at the end of February, and we're going to try to shoot 5 episodes in one weekend. And at that point in time, we're going to need an audience. And we're not charging, and we're going to need an audience for the whole weekend. So you're going to actually see the whole process of how a talk show is shot. Imagine yourself the audience of the Jay Leno show or the Jimmy Kimmel. That's what we're going to be shooting, and there's going to be a live audience. So we're not sure how much the way the theater is laid out. We could have anywhere between 1 to 500, but obviously we're not going to have that many. We're probably only going to have a couple hundred, maybe 150, depending on what we think. And I say stay tuned. Within maybe the next couple of weeks, I will let you know when we are going to start accepting call-ins and people who want to come in, your family or whatever, to sit in and to be the audience, and be part of hopefully something really big that's going to continue on for a long time.
If we get this place, okay, you guys got it. They got a bazillion questions all of a sudden. All right, there will be food served. Okay,
not free though. You have to buy it. Not
free. You have to buy it, and then they do have an alcohol license too. But and they may sell that too. I'm not saying we're not doing that.
Yeah,
part.
That's going to be the theater. It's going to be doing.
Yeah, the theater will be selling the food and drinks, but only it will be available.
Right, and we are probably going to start as soon as I get the okay from them. We're going to book a weekend, and we're going to start lining up guests. So, and we're talking hopefully big guests and from reality shows that you see on TV. This is the real deal, guys. We are going to make this happen. It is very exciting. We have so many important people that we have lined up that we think we're going to get us as hosts, and not hosts, interviewees. It's exciting because just what I have in mind for the setup for the actual show is going to blow people away. Oh my God! We're really excited, but we can't tell you because we have to kill you. It's exciting because I think Hollywood is going to be blown away on what I have planned. And yes, the pilot that we shot a couple of months ago was good. Wait until you see what we have coming up, and I have so many ideas. And if this place works out, and I hope they're listening. That you guys will accept what we want to do, and so we can come in and hopefully sell the show idea, and then from there on, it looks like that theater will be our home forever because it's perfect to what we want to do. It's the theater is historical now. They just made it an historical site, and it's very cool looking, and I think it would be perfect for what we want to do. So things are looking good. I can't wait. Also, too, we haven't got word yet, though, that I'm thinking now it's probably going to be January, that the episode of Monsters and Mysteries, the episode that we're going to be in, is probably going to come on, because I think they just released the trailers for a couple of the episodes, if I'm not mistaken.
And we're not on it.
We're not on them.
We're not on it.
But,
man,
you have to understand, we are going to be on a particular episode, and I think it's going to be the full episode, full 44 minutes. I think that's going to be pretty much all of Fresno. And
I'm hoping. I'll email him and see what he
and
says
find out what's going on.
Yeah,
okay.
Because I'm dying to know.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, I can't wait. It's going. They're going to talk about the story of the Windows guys, how it all went down, and it's
and more, really.
And more, yeah, and more. So
there's going to be quite a bit.
Yeah, so I can't wait. We're really excited about that. What else is happening? Well, right now, the main thing is getting this whole project of shooting the 5 episodes in February, or at the end of February, down, because that's going to take a lot of work. And Emerald, you're hired.
Yeah, and it's been too cold for us to go out doing any research.
Right,
right.
Yeah.
The mountains are like way out of line for us, but only we do go, but only it just hasn't been recent.
Right, and we have to go get those.
Yes, we do.
We have 4 cameras down on the floor, not in the foothills, but down here, like at the corner of, I don't want to say corner, but Ashland and Zedeker.
No.
Zedeker and Ashland in the Sanger Clovis area, we have 4 cameras set up where a Bigfoot was actually sighted in that area. So we got to go and retrieve the cards and see if we got anything. So that's been there a while. Now, also too, you have to still continue looking at the DVR, see if anything come up.
I'm going to try to get to that this week, so I have something to say about it next week.
Okay. And then
and I don't foresee anything happening this week. Man, this week was weird. But I've been like 2 nights in a row sleeping with a 2-year-old, and I haven't had much sleep, man.
I can tell you got wrinkles underneath you.
Oh,
well, no, I'm sorry. Those have always been there. So.
Those are black eyes from him kicking me in the night.
That's funny. So, all right. Next week is the 23rd, right? Something like that. Next Sunday, we are going to have, I think, I have somebody lined up. I'm not going to say who it is as of yet. You'll hear it probably on Facebook here pretty quick. I have somebody coming in from LA, and we also might have the mayor of Sanger come in, a government official, and he might spill his guts on, who knows, hopefully, if he's seen anything, any UFOs or whatever. But we're going to have the mayor in the studio.
In the house.
In the house, and live in here, including the other guy from Los Angeles. He's going to come down as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Cool.
So we're going to have 2 people in here. I don't know how. Maybe we can have them both in here or at separate times. I don't know. But I'm going to have to remove my pinball machine, and we're going to have to put it someplace else because we're going to need more room.
Correction on that. That's the 22nd.
The 22nd, thank you. So that's next Sunday, which is the 22nd, which is 3 days before Thanksgiving. Christmas. We're going to have, hopefully we're going to have 2 in-studio guests live. And we're going to talk about, paranormal stuff, just like we always do. So, all right, how much more time do we have?
We
got 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
To go ahead and sign off on the dark matter side. So, as you guys know, we like what we're doing here. We're having a blast. We hope you guys appreciate the things that we are doing here. We're just like kids in a candy store. This is the stuff that we live for. Hopefully we're going to bring you stories that you won't hear anywhere else, and that's one of the reasons why I like doing this, is because I want to blow you guys away. It's as simple as that, with all the information and all of the facts and videos, and we just want to really make you go, what? Like tonight, fairies, gnomes, nature spirits. Really? Are you kidding me? But when you have to realize that we got 9 seconds and we're out of here. So, that's it for Jeffrey Gonzalez and Alan Thomas. I want to thank you for showing up tonight, and we'll see you guys next week, okay?
Good night, you guys.
Take care. Good night.